Telling you, bro. What's been happening, bro?
Not too much.
Still hitting more Peggy-O's?
This is Shane Theriot. And you are listening to the Riff Raff.
Sounds good, baby.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Riff Raff from a sort of extended hiatus. It wasn't intentional. I did get a lot of emails inquiring, when are we going to get another Riff Raff? Here you go. Sorry, I've been busy touring, and sometimes it's really hard to get these things done, even when you have downtime in hotels and things. So I'll try to be a little quicker in the forthcoming episodes, putting them out. And as always, thanks for your support. A couple things, if you're just tuning in today, first time listener, I have like 30 some odd other episodes of Riff Raff. Everybody from a lot of great guitar players on there. If you're a guitar player, from John Schofield to Sonny Landreth, Dweezil Zappa, Mike Stern, and more great ones to come. I've also got some singers, Sammy Hagar, all kinds of people, Daryl Hall, John Oates. Try to bring you the best of the best. And we're not limited to vocals and guitars, some great drummers. Check it, there's a little something for everybody, that's my point. Also, I've been a little more active on my YouTube channel, Shane Theriot's guitar channel. Check it out, posting some things. Come on, give me some support. Like the page. Also Instagram, Shane Theriot Guitar. And, if you haven't already done so, all I ask for this is go to iTunes or one of those social media sites. Show me a little support. By the way, you're listening to a track called 4 on the Floor from my record called Dirty Power. Jim Keltner on drums, Hutch Hutchison on bass. And all of my music is available on iTunes, Amazon, or my website, shanetheriot.com. Yes, I am doing some shameless self-promotion, and it's my show, so what the hey, somebody's got to do it. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to today's guest. All right, my guest today is Mr. Phil DeGruy. Phil's a guitarist that, as you can hear, can sometimes seem to defy description. I think maybe the closest anyone's ever come is to describing Phil's style is none other than Steve Vai himself, who said, quote, Phil's approach to the guitar sounds like John Coltrane met Mel Brooks at a party for Salvador Dali. There you go. Phil is a highly creative, inventive musician, his use of the Lenny Bro techniques of harmonics and 7-string, he's taken to another level. He uses all these dense harmonies and beautiful chords. You'll hear his use of effects is really fresh too, in my opinion. I've been a fan of his for a while, and he's got a lot of other fans, amongst them Charlie Hunter, Steve Vai, Mike Stern. All these people appeared on his record Just Do It. Just Do It. And he's got 4 records I know of: Just Do It, Innuendo Out the Other, Hello Dolly, and the most recent one, Mask and You Shall Deceive, recorded at Jay Grigg's studio outside of New Orleans. And a little interesting side note, Jay Graydon, the great LA studio guitar player of Steely Dan fame and many, many other things, he mixed Mask and You Shall Deceive. And he's a fan of Phil's too. So we talk about all kinds of things. You'll get a sneak peek into a Lenny Bro lesson that Phil had recorded, and you'll hear them one-on-one back in the early 80s. And he'll discuss all kinds of things. There's a lot of playing in this one. You'll hear how he almost became one of the guitarists in Steely Dan. I didn't know that story. So check him out, Mr. Phil DeGruy. All right, I'm walking upstairs to his apartment, past the No Jehovah Witnesses sign, and Phil's playing a little ditty, and we get started. Hope you enjoy.
Riff Raff, Riff Raff, Riff Raff.
Mr. Phil DeGruy here in the house. I'm in his house. Nice.
Riff Raff.
Are you hip to this plus pedal? Check this out, man.
No, I've never seen that. Wow.
But it's weird because you can like. It's pretty weird. You can set the decay. It's like the freeze pedal, but a lot more sophisticated.
Oh yeah, it's really cool.
And it's in there's no, and it's like you can go halfway, like half
Who
volume.
makes those? Wow. I'm sitting in New Orleans with Phil DeGruy, the one and only, and I'm glad we could finally make this happen, man. Thanks for having me over.
My pleasure. It's so great to have you here.
This is great. Beautiful view
Yeah.
of the park, and yeah, man, the sun's out. We just sat down. It was pouring down raining when I left my house, and now the sun's out.
New Orleans. Man.
It was that Cord. Cord did it.
3 seasons in a week here. The other thing I like to say to people who don't have a clue about this place, we have 2 speeds here in New Orleans: stop and mildew. If you can get that and embrace it, you might have a chance.
Well, I mean, you know, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, Phil.
Wow.
You're definitely I would say the most original guitar player to come out of New Orleans that I know of. I mean, I challenge anybody to come up with anybody else. I'm talking originality, man. Your guitars and your approach and everything. For those of you that listen to the podcast, about 4 or 5 episodes ago, I did one with Emily Hughes, who is the daughter of the late, great Lenny Breau. And Phil, I'm sure you got many stories. You study with Lenny, you were a friend.
Yeah.
And I used part of your lesson that you had sent me a while back, and then I ran into you at Snug Harbor. I was like, man, I hope that was all right. And you're like, cool. And I said, by the way, I want to get you on the podcast. So here we are.
Nice.
So anyway, but you're a native New Orleanian. You've been here your whole life, right?
This is correct.
Who were some of your early influences? I mean, before you got into doing your own thing and before Lenny Breau and those cats. I mean,
The Beatles, and, I was forbidden to play my brother's guitar when I was in 6th grade, and he was in, I guess, 10th grade. So, obviously, I started playing his guitar. Then he found out, and he was cool about it. And I started getting more interested in it, and, loving the attention. I was in the 8th grade band, and I was in 7th grade, and, playing Animals and Rolling Stones. Then high school came along, and started getting more into different things, Eric Clapton, and discovered Roy Buchanan. So after high school, I started just playing a lot, and then I met somebody who was taking lessons with Hank Mackey. Right at the end of high school, and right after, I really fell in love with Chet Atkins. It was like just blowing my mind. What the hell is he doing technically? He was like a trickster. Like, how is he doing that? I couldn't hear it. I was picking up the needle on the record and moving it over. Just like we did. And I heard that Hank knew how to play in that style. So I got together with Hank, and that was just a world,
now, Hank Mackey,
world opening.
I've never met him, but I've heard all about him. He was a New Orleans guy, right? Or was he North Shore? Or
No. He lives on the North Shore now, but he still teaches twice a week at Todd's Music Express.
Wow.
On Monday and Wednesday, I believe. But he taught for so many years in Lakeview at Roger Filiberto's studio, and then it became World of Strings, And that's right when Howard Roberts was going around and touring. Before he opened GIT, he was going around doing these seminars, and I went to 2 of them.
So Howard Roberts came here to New Orleans?
Yeah, twice. Wow. And the second time was a 3-day seminar.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got to eat lunch with Hank and Howard Roberts and Les Wise, so I was like just flying high with that shit. And then after Hank got into Chet, and then I just started listening to jazz stuff, and I was working at this record store. Just so many things were happening, Joe Pass, and I loved fingerstyle guitar. I was into Leo Kottke, and then I started listening to classical music and just opening up the ears, And by the time I was 21, I was in Los Angeles, and I was taking private lessons with Ronnie Eschet, Hank's good friend, who, they went to Loyola together. And so Ronnie was badass, in 1976, when I was 21. So then I talked to Hank, and Hank says, heard Lenny moved to Nashville, and he's teaching there. So I got my little camper truck and rode on to Nashville and met him there.
Is that where that lesson was recorded? That
was the first time I met him. I kind of hung out around there for about a week, and unfortunately it was a dark period, and he wasn't doing that well. But I still learned a lot of incredible things from him.
Like, what would a lesson with Lenny be like? Like, how long would it always be different, or would it be sporadic sometimes, depending on his mood, or would you come with topics in mind, or would you just...
like, how did you do this? Like the harmonic things where I knew the technique, but what he was doing was foreign to me. It was like,
Yeah.
Specifically, like at the end of one of the tunes on Live at Shelley's Manhole, one of the most incredible records that he did. He'd have this going, and
Yeah.
so now I got my 7 string, so I got, and man, he'd say, man, just get this going and let the other finger fly, man. Just, do with these stuff like that, or just show me the voicings, how he'd why would you do that chord, Lenny? And then just, it was pretty fascinating.
Well, I learned that the other day. You ever hear that?
Yeah, not that. It's just
Well, it's like doing this. That. It's using A flat on the bottom instead.
D7 chord.
Yeah, it's like a D7 with the A flat on the bottom. Let me turn this thing on.
And he'd show me some pretty unusual techniques, like with the right hand. Like one being, like to get a tremolo going. I sort of could do the traditional tremolo, like I can't do it because anyway. So Lenny showed me a technique where to go on from one string to another, like just getting this going. He'd do this.
Are you just using your two? You're using how many fingers on your right hand are you using?
I'm doing everything but the pinky, and what I'm doing is like thumb.
Yeah.
So I'm going from third string to second string. So I'm doing thumb, then third finger, second string, then index finger, third string, then second finger. So, but to get it going, and then that frees up your thumb to go. That's one of the many things he showed me.
I've never seen anybody else do that. I mean,
I didn't know that technique either.
You can do the bastardized,
Yeah, that's. Yeah, man. Wow.
That's just hack classical technique.
Yeah.
But I never got it together, and I think the flamenco guys do it reversed or something, right?
And well, that's the other thing. He studied the flamenco thing for a couple of years. I mean, it was like strictly that, and so he's got this sabicus thing, and he's doing it with a thumb pick. So it's just totally.
Now, you've never used
changing.
a thumb pick, even though you.
I tried when Hank said, "Well, if you really want to sound like Chet, you got to use a thumb pick." And I tried, and I just couldn't deal with it. And I just kept doing it with my thumb. And
that sounds great.
And then I started doing chord melody arrangements. Fast forward 4 years later, I happened to be coming back from the Northeast, stopped in Nashville to see a friend. Lenny Bro's in town. He wasn't living there, but he was visiting. And he was like playing that night. And it so happened that he had the 7-string guitar with the high A. And I asked him for a lesson the next day, and I went over to his hotel, and we hung out, and I played for him. And he could see that I did a lot of work since the 4 years that's transpired. So he goes, look, I got to bring this amp back to Chet. I want you to play for Chet.
Wow.
That was on my 25th birthday, man.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. So that was quite a day. On the other side of the story is Lenny was married at the time to this wife who was pretty much control freak. So I went off with Lenny, and before we went to see Chet, we pulled over to the liquor store, and Lenny got like a bottle of peach brandy or something. But so by the time, a few hours later, when I bring him back to the hotel, his wife was not pleased. And we know what happened a few years later. But that's 1980. 83, he came to visit me.
Well, wait, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you got to talk about Chet. So you just tell us what happened that day.
Yeah, and while I'm there, we're hanging out for like an hour or two, and Lenny and Chet are playing, and you know, and Les Paul calls at the same time.
God.
So it was just like I am
everything's
fantasy.
Colliding.
It was just a trip.
So you played for Chet.
Yeah, and I had my little 330, you know, and I was
wow.
But
you remember what you played for him?
I think I played some variations on Freight Train and maybe some I forget what else. Maybe My Foolish Heart or something, or My Romance. I don't know. Yeah. But I was nervous as can be.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But it worked out. So then I get the harp guitar built 3 years later, and I send a picture to a guitar player, care of Lenny Bro, and he got it, you know. And he calls me, and he goes, "Man, I'm coming to New Orleans. I want to sell a guitar to somebody who lives around here in Denver Springs or whatever." So he came over, and I put him up for over a week, you know. And again, it was dark and really fictitious with the wife, who was like, and this is in '83, and there was not even caller ID yet. You know, caller ID is the best invention since the loss of privacy, man. But anyway, so I know I had to disconnect the phone from the wall because of her relentlessness. So on and on. He did a concert here that I put together. It went really well.
Where was it at?
A friend of mine knew somebody who had an office space on Esplanade and Charters, and we just cleared out the room and rented like 40 chairs or so, and it went pretty well.
Wow.
Yeah, and he played his 7-string, you know, and what he did, the genius of it all, it was an Aria made in Japan. It was not a very expensive guitar. It was about $800 or so at the time, which, you know, would probably be $2 or $3 grand now. But he took the bass string off that it came with, and he put fishing line for the high A, because there was no other.
Nobody had anything that high. That
right, and he made it work. So he's getting all these Bill Evans voices, and he's getting the melody, you know, and just transferring all the stuff that he was doing on six string, because he was so much into Bill Evans and learning all these Bill Evans tunes, plus all the other stuff he knew, and adapting to the seven string. And he was really doing some new stuff.
Wow.
And that's when I decided, well, I'm going to get a seven string, just like him. Came back home after that 1980 trip, and ordered one. Hank got it for cost, and I loved it. I really put more than a year, and I said, well, I'm going to stick with the seven string idea, but I have to get a seven string built for me. I want an electric guitar, a solid body. I want a sustain, you know. I wanted to sound like Lenny did on his records with that sustain. But anyway, kept thinking about extra strings, and then that was the first harp guitar by Jimmy Foster. It was just a monstrosity, though. I had to put a pad on my leg. It was so heavy. We had no clue. You know, you do things and you don't.
Sure, yeah. You're trying to work out the kinks while you're building it.
And you don't know the problems that's involved. Like I didn't have a short enough scale length string for the high A, so I kept popping the string. It was sort of a nightmare. But I kept at it, and the sound sucked. I didn't have the right pickups. Seymour Duncan, I had to wait a few years for that pickup. It was just
wow. That's
anytime you get custom things, you know, there's a price to pay.
So after you studied with Lenny, I mean, did you ever play in, how can I phrase this, like a regular top 40 band, like regular conventional guitar, or early on did you make the decision?
I did some wedding gigs around here.
I mean, I'm not talking like, you know, people hire you for your own thing, you know, because I know you as your, like I said, original, you just do your thing. But did you before you got into, you know, your own custom guitars and your own style and your own voice, were you a working cat, like playing conventional guitar parts?
Not as much as the other cats, like Scott Gudo and Steve. You know, they had a lot of gigs like that, and could play with anybody, and they could read, which I really couldn't. I could read charts, you know, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a call from. After the first record came out in 1995, Innuendo out the other, I guess Donald Fagen or Walter Becker, they heard it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And you know, they're calling me, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they want me to do a little opening solo trip. And I had no clue how to play this stuff, man. I mean, that's some serious reading. It's intricate music. You know, it's a whole different style, and I couldn't even deal with a six string at the moment.
So they called you for the Steely Dan gig.
Yeah,
wow.
and I kind of just told them the truth, like, I can read charts, but I'm not a good reader, and I kind of, it was.
Wow.
I knew that it wasn't going to happen. I knew that I wasn't a guy. I mean, there's so many other guys that could have done that so much better. I don't know what they were thinking.
That was probably the time that Wayne Krantz stepped in, you know. But that's
maybe
really...
I think I was a little later, because we're talking like 95.
Okay.
Or 96 or something like that.
Yeah, well, that would have been John Harrington then. But
yeah, I met John. He's a wonderful guy. Great player.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's been on here too. This my podcast.
Nice.
Well, man, that is like even more interesting to me. The fact that you just you've done your own thing. You know, I've always been interested.
And then
in
the rumors are I turned them down.
Oh, that's
it's
even better.
It's so stupid, man. It's like I really would love to do it, but I just knew.
Yeah.
You know, besides that little voice of fear of failure and all that. You know, that's
I'm
some
sure
serious
you could have
shit.
done it. It would have been a unique
I
thing.
probably would have more of a chance now because I started playing six string again and feeling more comfortable because I was exclusively into the seven string and I'd get confused on the six string. Plus, I didn't have a sound. I didn't have pedals, and I didn't.
Well, I would think a lot of that gig. I mean, I've known a few of the guitar players on that gig. I would think a lot of it is, somebody like Jay Graydon played the classic. Was it Peg?
Yeah, Peg.
I mean, you don't. It's.
They're still.
It's sacred. Like you don't go on the gig and not play those parts. You know what I mean?
And
you're expected to nail even the fans know those solos.
Right.
Well, Krantz didn't do it. He basically just played whatever.
It's such a body of work too. I mean, there's so many.
So I would think that would be kind of a requirement. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I respect that about Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. They always liked really good players.
Yeah.
And they always pulled from kind of unusual.
Well, you know the story about Peg. I mean, I think Jay was like the seventh guitarist.
I've heard about it. And he did it one take.
And Walter said, or maybe it was Donald who said, just think of it as a blues, 13-bar blues or something like that. And he got it.
13-bar blues.
It's classic.
How many incarnations are you into now with the guitars? Which one is that?
This one's the fourth harp guitar. The one right before this is about 3 years old. The one before this is Ralph Novak, who really set me free because of the fan fret idea, and it works so well, and it just feels so right. So if I get it like on a straight fretted guitar, it's kind of strange. It's just. And you can get it fanned like Charlie Hunter has it wildly fanned, like a peacock. And I have kind of a normal thing where it's the actual perpendicular fret is on the 12th fret.
I see, yeah.
And so...
it just helps with fingering and intonation too? Or?
The intonation, each string has its own intonation. I think if Pythagoras was building guitars today, he would do a fan fret. In this guitar, it just lends itself to that.
Yeah, that's real.
You know? I mean, the weird chord, it's like...
yeah.
But,
I love the clusters, too, where you hold one, like you get the... Or what is it like the... You should show me, I don't know. But the cluster.
Yeah.
One's
just
up an
I'm doing all 5 fingers, so I'm holding... I'm doing the harmonic on top, on the bottom. On this is a 6th string. It's actually a B flat minor. So I've got...
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so Lenny hit me to some incredible stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then I just keep experimenting with different things, just
Wow.
keep, just as an exercise, just to keep it going, And sometimes I incorporate it in an arrangement or derangement.
I've
whatever.
seen some of your derangers. The one night at Snug Harbor, I watched you do the Twilight Zone one, which was amazing.
Oh,
Was it a song? It was a song for
wow.
Blues for Rod Serling.
Yes, and it's a weird time. I don't even know what.
It's been a while since
Just
you
like-
played her.
It's supposed to be faster.
There was another one that I saw on YouTube. It's you're at I don't know if it was somebody's party or something. I think it's Beatles. You do some amazing medleys of. I mean, I don't know how long does it take you to put like a Beatles one of your
The
Beatles
medleys evolve, and recently I put probably 12-minute Beatle medley together.
Wow.
And it's like, well, am I going to start with this one and leave that one out? So, but yeah, I've been into that. I'm into a lot of medleys. I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
I just.
What's the latest one you're working on?
Probably that,
Hey, do you write all this stuff down or make notes or record it, or you just retain it?
I'm really.
Yeah.
I almost said the word inbred, but
Because all
I
those
just
fingerings.
I write down what I'm the
Parts
names
of
of the tunes, and how long they are. Let's see, trying to get. But at one point I had like 20 of them, but some of them are like 20 seconds, So it's weird. It's kind of. Like I'll come out of Here Comes the Sun. On and on. Just trying to get from one to the other.
Yeah.
And so that's worked out in the last year or so. I like that one. I do the Wizard of Oz medley forever.
That's the one. That's the one I saw. It's amazing.
Sometimes I'll belt this out at the right moment, in the right time, and everything. Please shut the fuck up. We are playing Giant Steps. It's a tune by Coltrane. When you talk, it's a shame. Shut up. I hate 251.
I had a bass player one time. He goes, "You know Giant Steps?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you play the changes?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I start playing them, whatever, real fast. And he's going, "Tell me when I hit a wrong note." And he starts going, and it worked over the whole thing.
I can break out. Yeah. You just keep going.
You just keep going.
Or like one of these things.
I'll tell you one thing that aggravated me though is I don't like it when people take Charlie Parker solos and scat over them and write lyrics, or Manhattan Transfer where they're like, "Oh, those giant steps,
Yeah.
oh, calling giant
You know what? There is one record that I kind of dig that, and it's Rashawn Roland Kirk, The Return of the 2,000-Pound Man, or something like that. And he does both Giant Steps and There'll Never Be Another You with these singers, and it sounds like, you know, singers that do radio jingles like WTI, very on the money, just life when we
like Jordan
were
Ayers or
young
something.
was like playing, and then, you know, Kirk takes it out, and it's fucking amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, when he starts playing, it's instantly out.
It's incredible.
2 horns. Nose.
I remember riding around with Lenny, listening to that in my cassette player in my truck. That
Wow.
when I'm hanging around with him, he said, "Wow, man," he was blown away.
When you did your record, Just Duet, it's you have Charlie Hunter and Mike Stern and Reeves Gabriels, and I forget all the other people. It's a great record, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've had that for a long time.
It took a while.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. When you made that record, did you record, like, for instance, Mike's parts? Did you send him the track, or did you cut it live?
We sat in the studio for hours, man.
So you went up to New York and did it?
And we just, he's so focused, and all he needs is coffee.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was in New York at this little studio owned by Dave Lawrence, and real great engineer, wonderful player. And that's where I recorded with Larry Coryell, too. That was probably the first guy that I got together with for this duet thing. Then here I got together with Hank and Steve Mazikowski, and it was a trip. So it took maybe 6 or 7 years
just to get everything,
you know, because it started in the late 90s, and by the time it finally came out, and it's just everything, you know, just editing. Another guy that really made it a trip is Dave Tronzo, who plays exclusively a slide player. And when you say slide player, you're thinking blues, roots, rock, you know, you know, body and soul, no problem, you know. Really an amazing player. So that was an all day, and that was a lot of editing, because we had so many interesting things going on. And it was just a matter of extraction and editing. And then we'd put it in between the tunes, like we'd put 20 seconds or 40 seconds in between of this insanity that we were doing, and call it something crazy. You know? And I like the one with Larry. That felt really good. We were doing harmonics together. It was Lenny's from Heaven. Sorry, man, no reverb for you.
That's all right. I don't know what to play, man.
And, you got a little more volume?
about like a standard or something?
Yeah,
You can,
call one out and see if I know it.
you know, I don't know the head. I don't think, but there is no greater love. You know
Yeah.
that? Want to do that?
Yeah.
But wait. Nice. I just let you take it, man. The ending was that chord. Wow, what was that chord?
I was, it's sort of like, I call it the bipolar chord. Yeah, this.
Wow.
It just may look a little weird on the 7th string here, but then see, I got the 3rd up here. So,
right.
So if that's a root or that's a root, so it's a B altered, and
ooh, what is that? The 3rd on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dense.
The cool thing about this chord also, it can be E altered, right? So then if you do a harmonic, I got the open B string, the B harmonic. So it's a whole, rather than.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, I do little things like that. Or
That's amazing. Nice.
I shouldn't even do this in front of you, but I can just these little. I can never get it fast. Like,
are you using your 3rd? Yeah,
I can
man.
never get it to flow. Like,
well, when I first heard Chet do that stuff, I thought he was doing. I didn't know the technique, so I'm like trying to. Each one was a harmonic,
right.
And then Hank explained how it's a natural note and a harmonic and a natural.
It gives you that step, the jagged thing.
Yeah, and then Lenny with all the embellishments, like, and Ted, but with the.
almost sounds like a pedal steel with the bar shift. Like
Yeah.
that. It's just seamless.
I love
man.
pedal steel.
It just sounds-
Here's another thing that's been going on. Thanks to Cranston Clemens.
He's another great player.
Well,
Yeah, New
another
Orleans.
incredible player. But he turned me onto the whammy pedal, and I said, "Okay, I've heard of this." And then after I had it for a while, I said, "Let me see what the harp strings sound like through it." So now I can, it's like. So that's the first harp string. So check it out.
Oh,
So I have
wow.
it set to a fifth. So it is like a upper register pedal steel.
Yeah.
And then I can just get subtle things, because before it was just set. I couldn't do, it was just.
Oh, I love that.
It's out there, man.
Now
Then
you
I have this
two- yeah,
whammy.
You have two whammy pedals. That's
Yeah.
what I was going to ask you.
And then this whammy I use for different things. So right now I have it set. So if I do this chord, open strings, I have it set to a fifth. So when I press the button, it plays this chord plus that chord, which to me is the most shimmering thing in the world. So when you're doing chords like this,
Yeah.
if you're doing altered chords, it's not going to work, but it's that fifth. But just to get that, check out this ending, if you would. It's an ending for On a Sunny Afternoon for the Kinks.
Yeah. Oh, man, nice.
I love that, huh?
Oh, it's so great.
I mean, it's like the sunlight on the water, on the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
just shimmering. I don't know.
It's like very. Eventide had a patch that was similar a long time ago, but you're doing it with just your hands and a whammy pedal.
Yeah.
It's like
Double whammy.
It's like there's some kind of majestic kingdom fits.
Yeah.
I see your photo right there of Lenny, and I gotta ask, was
Yeah.
that one of his thumb picks?
That is.
Yeah, I figured so. That's it, with a
And that's
thumb
Hank
pick
and Ted
tattoo.
Green behind him.
Wow.
Yeah. In LA.
Ted Green, man. There was another guy who.
And Lenny and Ted, they got together and they recorded it. It was like a whole day.
In a studio or
No,
just
just it probably. I'm not sure where in LA. I don't know if it was at Ted's house, but there's a woman in the background who kind of talks and makes comments, and I think it was Lenny's girlfriend at the time. We're talking like 78. And we're talking 8 hours. They just sat down there and played, and I think Scott Page was, Scott Page?
No.
Is that his name? Seals and Crofts guitarist.
Okay.
Anyway, he was.
Was he was friends with
Yeah.
Ted or one of the guys?
Yeah, and so it was just like four of them sitting around, and Lenny and Ted, and they're both blowing each other's mind. Ted would play for Lenny, and Lenny would just, because Ted's got all this classical thing going. Then Lenny would play his Bill Evans thing or whatever, and they would just talk. It was pretty incredible. I'll get you some copies because it's 8 CDs.
Oh, so you have them.
Yeah.
And you can hear the woman making comments and stuff like that.
It needs some fierce editing, but
Wow, that's
I'm sure
great.
Jay Graydon can probably take it out with take out the voice with all his tricks because he's amazing. He really polished my record up.
Well, Jay Graydon was involved with your record? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which record? Because I want to talk about your records.
Yeah, it's the latest one was just a few months. October.
The recent one.
Yeah, Mask and You Shall Deceive.
Yeah, I saw the cover.
Yeah,
it's very Beefheartish cover. Yeah, I love that.
And Jay volunteered to help out doing this because as far as the mixing, he did some serious mixing. I mean, he would get out,
the squeaks.
Just he's so meticulous, and he's worked with so many people, and he's got incredible gear and ears. So, I mean, he really brought it to life.
Where did you record it?
I recorded it at Jay Griggs' house in Ponchatoula. He's got a nice little studio there, and him and Jay Graydon, I get the Jays confused. Jay Griggs and Jay Graydon.
I didn't know Jay Griggs knew Jay Graydon. Wow, that's a small world.
He didn't until
you got involved.
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and first Jay started saying, well, if you do this and that, you should. Well, if you want me to, I'll be, no charge. It was just real labor of love.
Well, you have a lot of fans, You have a lot of guitar fans. How did Steve Vai hear about you? Like, all the people that...
I met him through Matt Resnikoff, who's he was a writer and for different magazines. And I remember meeting him at the House of Blues when Steve was playing his gig. It wasn't a Dweezil gig. And that was that. And in fact, Steve Lukather was either playing the next night there, and he was there, and we were chugging.
He's a madman. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about now, but man, it was quite a night. So that's where I met those two Steves. It was pretty crazy. Got to explain to some people who don't know about this place, who've never been here. It's like we have an 11th commandment here, or maybe the first commandment: "Thou shalt not commit adulthood." It's nobody. This is like it's just party.
It's a lot of partying.
It's got that vibe
for sure.
going. But, yeah. So, and then the dark side of that. So it's a wild carnival where it's tragedy and comedy all mixed up.
That's very very eloquently stated. Have you ever thought about it? I mean, you've been here your whole life. Have you ever lived anywhere else or thought about going anywhere else at any point in your life?
Not really. I lived in California for a few months, and specifically Big Sur, which is that was a really incredible time. I met some incredible people there. I'm still in touch with them. And I go off to New York and then L.A. Sid Jacobs is a good buddy of mine. And always inspired by what he's doing. He's an amazing player, amazing teacher. But, it's hard to get away from this crazy place. It's just, I don't know what it is.
I've managed to slip away for a while, but
it's great that you can do that you have New York.
Unfortunately, it's Anders Osborne told me something one time. He said the river, the crescent, the way it pulls you, and it's got some energy, and I don't know, it's a little metaphysical for me, but I believe, I kind of believe that because of where the crescent. It's like it creates this vortex or this magnet. And
well, I think Bienville warned not to settle here for different reasons. First of all, we're underground.
Right.
You know, and I think there's a theory why it's the funkiest city in the world, because it's underground. The humidity, nobody can tune up.
Right.
Nobody's tuning up in this town, man. And in the whole voodoo thing, the chemicals, chemical abuse, and I'm talking about Exxon chemicals or whatever. Just it's the funk, man.
Yeah, it's funky.
And people come here to break the law, you know, corporations and such, you know.
There was something I read recently where somebody was talking about the way notes affect the human ear depending on the humidity levels. You know, the way a note could travel or the resonance of a frequency and things like that. So down here, it must be...
Yeah.
Because it's a beautiful day outside right now, but it's probably 60% humidity outside, you know.
Hey, Google, what's the humidity?
The humidity in New Orleans right now is 74%.
There you go.
It was like 87 earlier today.
But one thing in New York, man, I had to buy humidifiers for my guitars because I have a lot of nice guitars up there. And I'm thinking, wait, I have to buy a machine to produce humidity. So far, it's such a crazy concept. You know, you never have to worry about like old Martins or Gibsons here. It's fine.
Try living in the West.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the opposite effect. It starts cracking because of other reasons.
Yeah.
Here it just expands, and it's like Johnny Vodakovich said, you need gills to live here.
So like something.
Yeah. I love it. Somebody, Cranston, turned me on to Jeff Beck playing along with a real bird. He calls it Blackbird, but it's not the Beatles tune. It's the bird singing, and then here's Jeff answering
really?
it. Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
And I've recorded songbirds in the middle of the night back when, and one of the great moments in my life, I'm like, this bird is incredible. He's just not repeating himself, doing incredible, just like, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning in Old Metairie, everything's quiet, I'm recording for a few minutes, it's amazing. Then all of a sudden the train horn from about a mile away sounds and the bird stops. So I wait a few minutes and nothing. And then let me see what I got. So I rewind and I start playing it back. He starts mocking himself.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought this is like a National Geographic moment. I just don't have a second recorder to get but it was mind blowing. Yeah. So I love birds, especially the songbirds.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so humbling. It's like, what are we doing? Even trying to, this is it, man. How do you top this?
Right.
Yeah. So, but we try.
Phil's got these beautiful wind chimes in here, and that's like, sounds like the G flat C.
Yeah, man.
You know, Charles Neville told me this story. Maybe this was before your time, I'm sure, but he said when Johnny Smith, is that Moonlight in Vermont?
Yeah.
That, right?
Yeah, man.
And he said that when that's a C6, like a spread thing where you put your first finger.
Yeah.
Fifth finger. Charles Neville said that every guitar player that he knew in New Orleans would hear that recording and go, "Oh, that's two guitar players playing that.
Yeah.
There's no way you could play that voicing." And when he played in New Orleans, people's minds were blown. He was like the 1950s or 60s Alan Holdsworth.
Right.
You know, because nobody could do that voicing. It's just pretty simple. But
yeah. I do.
Or Mr. Sandman. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. What about playing Moonlight in Vermont?
I've never played it in my life, but what are the chords? If you tell me the chords, I can.
It's
C6.
Yeah, it's 165. Subdominant minor. Yeah. Then 2/5. and it does it second A. Then and then the bridge is just 2/5 to E. Six. Two. Let's do like 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got the bridge. Check this out.
Oh yeah, man. Beautiful. That reminds me of the thing I saw on YouTube. Somebody posted Jimmy Weibel stuff, and he's playing
Jimmy
at a
Weibel.
rachurch. Yeah, and like nobody gave a
I know
shit.
what you're talking about. Sid Jacobs is one of his one of his best friends, and Sid does some incredible Jimmy Weibel stuff.
I used to know a couple of his pieces, the really out there things, like the 2/5s. Like one of the things was however wild.
Nice.
And I used to play these guys.
Yeah. Holy shit, man.
That's a minor 2/5. Jimmy Weibel, that's all.
Wow.
But it's like, forget it.
It almost sounds like you're doing harmonics, the way the voicings are.
Or that Joe DiOrio stuff, you know, like.
Yeah.
learned
Wow.
one the other day. Like he does this thing where it's, but then I changed it to where it would work over like,
Nice.
so it's a little more.
Yeah. I like that double note. Yeah. But no, that reminded me of this just an exercise, just not caring, but just to have that, and it gets harder. So if you start on high E, yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. Wow. That sounded like Lenny.
Yeah, it is like a fake. I don't know. I'd learn like the Chet things, like
Wow.
you know the scale.
Yeah.
Well, you know all that
I've
stuff.
been doing some abstract shit like that with sorry. I love patterns, and I got into that sonic shape thing that Howard was passing around when he was touring, doing the seminars
What
before
was
GIT.
that? Sonic shape.
Like stuff like, or that would be that kind of stuff. And then I started just doing it like finger style, like just doing this and going up a flat fifth and doing the same thing, but traversing across the neck. So I'm doing, not changing the shape either. The notes changed, because it was, now I'm on high A, then coming back down.
So you just invert the shape.
Yeah. All it is this, and this, and then, and that's it. And then you do it up the same shape. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Or you can just like experiment and just.
Wow.
I don't know what that is.
Jeez.
It sounds good if you get some delay and stuff on it.
I sort of do something like, if you like on this, where I'm just doing hammer-ons and then.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And into the harp strings. It's fucking sharp.
Yeah, I
man.
love that. Sick.
Man. Yeah.
Play some, I don't know, I was just playing around. We could do Nice. If you're listening to this driving, you might want to pull over. You might get the swirliness, the dissonance.
Don't listen to this while driving.
That's great.
It causes drowsiness.
What the hell was that? It was weird.
Look at Yeah, man. Now I want to practice. Holy shit.
Well, me too,
Man.
Well, we should play sometime where I don't have this thing on.
I'd love
I'll
to.
bring up-
I'll come your way, man.
Yeah, come over. Thanks so much for doing this, man. Yeah, that was
Such a pleasure, man.
Such a blast.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Shane.
Now I need to go home and practice all that stuff.
We don't stop practicing.
No, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks again, man.
Riff Raff.